Good morning, students. Today we will discuss one chapter from the 10th class economics, that is understanding economic development, economics textbook. The fourth chapter we will discuss today, that is globalization and the Indian economy. In this chapter we will discuss about the production across the countries, spreading of production by an MNC, interlinking production across the countries, foreign trade and integration of markets, definition of globalization, factors that have enabled globalization, liberalization of foreign trade and investments, World Trade Organization, impact of globalization on the Indian economy, and the steps taken by our government to attract foreign investment. And last, the struggle for free and fair globalization. So after studying this chapter, we will be acquainted with the concepts of MNCs, globalization, liberalization, investment, trade barriers, etc. We will be able to understand the process of globalization and its implications for India. You will be aware of the impact of the reform process taking place in India. You will be understanding the impact of globalization on the Indian economy. So let us start. See here, nowadays, the consumers in today's world have a wide choice of goods and services. Different variety of goods and services. See in this picture, number of consumers purchasing the goods and services. See in our supermarkets also, variety of brands can be seen for many other goods, from shirts to televisions to processed foods. Different kinds of goods in the supermarket you can see. Different variety of processed food packets. Not only this, the latest models of digital cameras, mobile phones and televisions are made by the leading manufacturers of the world are within our reach today. Not only this, but the new models of automobiles can be seen on the Indian roads. Today, Indians are buying cars produced by nearly all the topmost companies in the world. See, such a wide-ranging choice of goods in our markets. Such a wide-ranging choice of goods in our markets is of a relatively recent phenomenon. It is happening in India since 15 years or 10 years back. Since 10 years or 15 years, we are enjoying this wide choices of consumer goods. Number of variety of goods are available nowadays in the consumer. So, why is it so? Because until the middle of the 20th century, production was largely organized within the country. That means until the 1950 or around 1950, the production was organized within the country. What crossed the boundaries was only the raw materials and the food stuff and finished products. Raw materials and finished products. trade was the main channel connecting distant countries. We already know, we have learned in the Indian history that many of the foreign companies before 1950 they came to India. For example, East India Company, it came to India. It take raw materials from Indian countries. That means not only from India, but also from other colonial countries. That means England will import raw materials. It will, after that processing of the raw materials, it will export finished products to many other countries. So trade was the main channel connecting distant countries. Here, trade means what you need to remember. Trade. Trade means it is simply the import and export of goods, only commodities, goods, physical goods. That is what the trade. So until the middle of the 20th century, production was largely organized within the country. And now the MNCs is organizing the production across the countries. Now the MNCs came into picture recently, since 15 to 20 years back. The MNCs are organizing production across the countries. So what is an MNC and how it will organize the production across the country? So let us move further. So an MNC is a company that owns and controls production in more than one nation. In more than one nation. So how the MNC will organize a production in more than one nation? Say one popular company from USA, it wants to manufacture industrial equipment. It will design its product in the USA and it will manufacture its products in the China. That is the parts of the industrial equipment are being manufactured in the China. And these parts are shipped to Mexico and Eastern Europe. And there they will do assembling of these industrial equipments. And for these products, if at all, is there any doubt, is there any questions with regard to, any clarifications with regard to this particular product, that clarifications are attended by the Indians, are attended by the Indian call centers. These call centers, they will provide the customer care service. Say, for example, we will, the same example was also given in our textbook also. See, spreading of production by an MNC. A large MNC producing industrial equipment designs its products in research centers in the United States and then has its components manufactured in China. These are then shipped to Mexico and Eastern Europe, where the products are assembled and finished. Products are sold all over the world. Meanwhile, the company's customer care is carried out through call centers located in India. You can see here one of the call center located in Bangalore. and it is providing information, clearing doubts for the particular product to the customers located in different parts of the world. See, why this MNC will do like that? Let us see the advantages of spreading production by an MNC. As we already learned that MNC is the multinational corporation. It is not only selling its finished products globally, but more important, the goods and services are produced globally. It is mainly done to save nearly 50 to 60% of their cost of production for the MNCs. That means the MNCs, they will organize production throughout the world in order to get a benefit of the low cost of production, so that it can get more profits. See how it is organizing. In China, the products are being designed in USA. In China, its parts are being produced because of cheap manufacturing costs, cheap manufacturing location. China is popular for cheap manufacturing location throughout the world. And again, these parts are being shipped to Mexico and Eastern Europe. Why? Because the Mexico and Eastern Europe, it is close to the markets of the USA and Europe. In India, skilled, educated, English-speaking youth are available who can provide customer care services. Indians are popular throughout the world that they can speak English fluently. They have the technical knowledge to understand. They are skilled. So that's why they are taking advantage of these resources from different countries so that they can reduce the cost of production and they can increase more profits, enjoy more profits. So how these MNCs, they will organize production in different countries. So let us see how they will organize. So before moving or discussing how the MNCs they will organize, here we should be clear about the concept that is investment. Investment, it is the money that is spent on to buy assets such as land, buildings, machines and other equipments. See, my dear students, here the investment is not simply the money in our pocket. It is not simply the money in our pocket. It is the money that is spent to buy assets such as land, buildings, machines, and other equipments. Why it will purchase all these things a company? In order to make profits. By using land, buildings, machines, and other equipments, it will produce goods which are sold to make profits. So investment, it is the money that is spent on to buy fixed assets such as land, buildings, machines and other equipments made in the hope of making a profit. If this investment is made by the MNCs, then it is called foreign investment. If it is made by the MNC, it is called a foreign investment. Now, let us see how these MNCs, they will organize production throughout the world. See here, the world map, which is showing connecting by the different blue lines to different countries. So how it will, the MNCs, they will interlink production across the countries. The first way is that they directly set up production. They directly will come to, say for example, India. They will establish a factory here. They will establish a factory here and they will start a production. Say for example, different companies like Microsoft. It was in the Hyderabad, IBM, International Business Machines Corporation, and Nestle, it is also an MNC. It has its headquarters in Kolkata, Delhi, Chennai, Mumbai. Procter and Gamble, it produces different variety of products, Ariel, Tide, self-care products such as shampoos, Olay, etc. And Coca-Cola, do you know? It has its headquarters in Kolkata. Pepsi Company, and City Group, that means City Corporation and Travels Group. Sony, you know, it is a Japan-based company, popular for its products in electronics, and HP, Hewlett Packard, and Apple. It has recently started its production in Hyderabad. So likewise, many companies are there, which are directly they are setting up production in our country. That means one way is that the MNCs, they directly set up a production, and the other way is that they set up production jointly with some of the local companies. They set up jointly with some of the local companies. The popular example here we can see in our textbook also. That is the Ford company located in Chennai. It is one of the world's largest automobile manufacturers. It's producing with production spread over 26 countries of the world. Ford company, an American company. It came to India in 1995 and spent nearly 1700 crores to set up a large plant near Chennai. And this was done in collaboration with. Collaboration means setting a company jointly with the local company. That is Mahindra and Mahindra, a major Indian manufacturer of jeeps and trucks. See how the Ford company was established in India with the collaboration of the local company. The second way of interlinking production across the countries is the by the MNCs is the setting up of production jointly with some local companies. The other way is the most common rule, that is the investment made by the MNCs, that is they will buy up the local companies. They will buy the local companies. Here, MNCs, they will buy the local companies, they will bring their technology, they will bring their capital, that is investment, and they will start production. See how here also we have an example. Say, for example, the Cargill Foods. Cargill Foods, MNC, it's an MNC with huge wealth, can quite easily do. An example of Cargill Foods, a very large American company has brought over smaller Indian companies such as Parag Foods. Parag Foods had built a large marketing network in various parts of India, where its brand was well reputed also. Also, Parag Foods had full 4 oil refineries whose control has now shifted to Cargill. Cargill is now the largest producer of edible oil in India with a capacity of to make 5 million pouches daily. See how this Cargill company has brought Parag Foods of India and making production. So why these MNCs, they will buy up the local companies like this? Why? Because these local companies, Parag Foods, they will have a large network that was already established, and they will have a goodwill in the market. So in order to take advantage of this network and goodwill, these MNCs first they will buy the local companies and start production, so that they can take the advantage of this large network and goodwill. So the another method, that is of interlinking production by the MNCs, is by placing orders for production with small producers. That means the MNCs, they will place orders to the small local producers. After purchasing finished goods, after purchasing finished products from these local products, they will print their brand names on these products and they will sell those products throughout the world. Say, for example, here in our textbook you can see the pictures. You can see the picture. A woman at home in Ludhiana making footballs for large MNCs. That means the footballs, they are being locally made in the Ludhiana. Ludhiana is popular for sports items. After purchasing the footballs from these people, local producers, the MNC will sell it internationally throughout the world. So here there are 4 ways of interlinking production across the countries by the MNCs. One is MNCs, they will directly set up production. The another one, the MNCs, they set up production jointly with the local companies. The another one, that is the most common route, is that the MNCs, they will buy up the local companies and start production. The another one is the MNCs, they will place orders for production with small producers. So in this way, the MNCs, they will produce globally. They will organize production globally in order to enjoy the low cost of production so that they can get more profits. Now we will discuss about another concept, that is foreign trade and integration of markets. Foreign trade and integration of markets. The MNCs, they are producing globally. They make globally. They make available. They make feasible this foreign trade. And they are the main reason, the MNCs are the main reason for the integration of the different markets. Say the MNC is located in one country one, they may purchase products produced by the local producers in country two, or they may organize production in country two, and the MNC is located in country two. They may also buy products from country three. They may even set up production in country three. So the production or the goods that are produced in country one, they are exported to country two. Again, the goods that are produced in country two, they are exported to country one. And both the countries, they can export and import goods from country three. This is mainly because of the MNCs. So trade between the countries is known as foreign trade. Trade means what? Trade means it is a foreign trade. It is the importing, exporting of goods and services. It creates opportunities for producers to reach beyond the domestic market. To reach beyond the domestic market, they can do production, expand. Because of this foreign trade, it will expand the choice of goods beyond what is domestically produced. It will expand the choice of goods. See, now, if you want to buy a mobile phone in India, the popular companies producing mobile phones, and their goods available in India are, popularly Vivo, Samsung, and Realme or Redmi phones, Apple phones. See, all are made by the companies which are located abroad. They are selling their products in India. How it is being possible? It is possible by the MNC only. The multinational corporations, they are selling their products throughout the world. So it has resulted, that is a foreign trade, and the markets of one country are coming close to the markets of other country. This is how the integration of the markets is happening. And see, in the last slide, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi sir is making an agreement, international trade agreement with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. And in this picture also you can see how our beloved Prime Minister is making an agreement with the trade agreement with the USA President, United States of America. Not only with the single country, but also the agreements are made, trade agreements, international trade agreements are made with a number of countries. See here the picture, the different presidents of different countries, they are making an agreement to do import, export of goods and services. So likewise, the producers, the main advantage from these foreign trade is that the producers, price of similar goods in two markets tends to become equal. That means the price of similar goods in two markets, they will tend to be equal. Producers in the two countries now can closely compete each other. The producers of the two countries, they can closely compete. That means the competition, because of this foreign trade, the competition among the producers, they will increase, and the prices of the similar goods in the two markets, they will become equal. In this way, the foreign trade connects the markets or integration of markets in different countries. So now in India, you can see number of Chinese toys are available. Different variety of products are available. Now we will come to the central idea of this lesson, that is globalization. So what is globalization? So globalization, it means it is the process of rapid integration or interconnection between the countries. It is the process of rapid integration or interconnection between the countries. This is what the globalization. Because of this foreign trade, foreign investment, the integration or interconnection between the countries will increase. MNCs are playing major role in this process of globalization. In other words, the MNCs are the engines of the globalization. So they facilitate the availability of different goods and services made in different countries. This is what the globalization is. Globalization is not only a trade between the countries. You need to understand the difference between the globalization and trade. Globalization means it is the import and export of goods and services. It is the movement of people from one country to other country. It is the movement of capital, investment from one country to other country. It is the movement of technology from one country to other country. See, in a nutshell, the globalization is making the entire globe into a small village. That means everything is available in every country. Everything. So globalization means it is the process of rapid integration or interconnection between the countries. So what makes this globalization possible? There are different factors out there. So now let us now discuss about the factors that have enabled globalization. So in this, technology is the very, very important factor that facilitates globalization. So rapid improvement in technology has been one major factor that has stimulated the globalization process. The improvement in technology in variety of fields. Say, for example, in the area of transportation, the technology has improved a lot. Here in this picture, you can see different modes of new transportation. In the past 50 years, this technological improvement has led to faster delivery of goods across longer distances at a lower cost. This is one of the reasons for the globalization. You can see in the 10 to 15 year backs, we hardly see the movement of containers on the roads. Now frequently, every day, on our nearby bypass roads or mini bypass roads, big trucks they carry in containers, we can see. Previously, our mode of transportation, you can see in this picture. And now you can see here, big containers are carried away by the big ships. So container transportation have led to the huge reduction in port handling cost, increased the speed with which goods can reach markets, different markets, and the movement of the people, that is the development of airlines. The cost of air transport has fallen. This has enabled much greater volumes of goods being transported by airlines. So these are the factors. Another important factor is information and communication technology. It has played a major role in spreading out production of services across countries. A remarkable improvement were made in the areas of telecommunications, computers, internet. Telecommunications, see, due to the development of satellite communication devices, facilities such as telegraph, telephone, including mobile phones, fax machines are used to contact around the world to access information instantly by a click and to communicate in the remote areas. Telecommunications is another important factor. Another one is computers. Computers and internet have entered in almost all the fields. Internet allows us to share information on almost everything. We can send instant email and talk through voicemail across the world at almost negligible cost. Now the cost of communication through the internet, computers became very less. And we will see the example that was given in our test, how the information technology is playing a major role in spreading the globalization. See, using IT in globalization, a news magazine published for London readers. See, the London people, for the sake of London people, one news magazine is to be produced. And the design of the news magazine, the text material of the news magazine was being sent through internet to Delhi office. In Delhi, the designers in Delhi office get orders on how to design the magazine from the office in London using telecommunication facilities. The designing is done on computer. After printing, the magazine are sent to the air to London. In Delhi, after we receiving the design, print, matter, we will print here the magazine and we will transport it to London. Magazine that was printed in London is read by the customers in London. See, even the payment of money for designing and printing from a bank, printing from a bank in London to bank in Delhi is done instantly through the internet e-banking. Even the payment also. The people from London need not to come to India to pay for Indian publishers. They can simply do the transaction through e-banking, internet banking, online banking. And you might have aware of the Paytm, Google Pay. Different platforms are there through which you can make payments. So the another factor in the process of globalization, in making the globalization feasible, is that liberalization of foreign trade and investment. The another factor is liberalization of foreign trade and investment. What is liberalization? Let us first know what is liberalization. Liberalization. Liberal, the word itself conveys the meaning that one should be liberal. That means it is the process of removing barriers or restrictions set by the government earlier on trade or investments. That means it is the process of removing barriers, hurdles, or restrictions set by the government earlier on trade or investment. That means previously the governments, they impose taxes, that means barriers, restrict the foreign goods to be imported into the domestic country. And the process of removing these barriers or restrictions set by the government earlier on trade and investment is called a liberalization. It means allowing foreign companies to start a business, to start their business as government restrictions are being removed. So, another concept here is trade and the trade barriers. So, what is this trade barriers? Trade barriers means they are the restrictions on foreign goods like tax on imports. Government can use trade barriers to increase or decrease foreign trade and to decide what kind of goods and how much of each should come into the country. So these are the trade barriers. And the examples here I have given, that is tariffs and quotas. Tariffs means it is nothing but a tax on imports. Import duty, export duty, these are the tariffs. And quotas. Quotas means what? That means if anybody in our domestic country wants to import foreign goods, then the government will impose a particular limit of its quantity. That is a quota. So, liberalization and trade barriers. Liberalization is the process of removing barriers. Now, come to India. What happened in liberalization? Why we have introduced this liberalization? See, after independence, as soon as we got independence, Indian government after independence had put barriers to foreign investment. This was considered necessary to protect the producers within the country from the foreign competition. So we have not allowed the foreign investors into India after we got independence. Why? Because our Indian producers, they are at the infant stage at that time. If we allow the foreign producers from the developed countries, our producers, domestic producers, they could not able to compete with them. They could not able to compete with them. So there is a possibility of shutting down of our industries. So that is why after independence, the Indian government has imposed barriers to foreign goods and investment. So after the period of nearly 40 years, that is in 1991, the government decided that in that time had come for the Indian producers to compete with foreign producers. Time had come to compete with the foreign producers around the globe. So Indian government in 1991, it had felt that our producers should compete with the foreign producers so that we can also increase the quality of our products on par with the foreign goods. So that's why in order to improve our performance, in order to improve the performance of producers within the country, since they would have to improve their quality, our government has removed the barriers. So the government at that time, it has introduced these measures with the new economic policy. What is this new economic policy? It is nothing but liberalization, privatization, and globalization. So here you can see in this picture Manmohan Singh, our former Prime Minister. At that time in 1991, he was our Finance Minister. Under his able leadership and the leadership of P.V. Narasimha Rao, our former Prime Minister, we have introduced in 1991 the new economic policy, that is LPG, liberalization, privatization, and G for globalization. Barriers to foreign trade and foreign investment was removed to the large extent. The barriers were removed. Removing of these restrictions and barriers set by the government was termed as liberalization. Okay, liberalization means removing restrictions or barriers set by the government, as termed as liberalization. So this is also the another factor for increasing the pace of globalization. And the another important factor is that throughout the world, there are many organizations out there, international organizations out there, which support globalization. That is liberalizing their countries so that there can be a free trade between the countries. Free trade without any barriers between the countries, without any quotas, without any tariffs. So one of such organization is, come on, name that organization. Can you name that organization? It is, see, World Trade Organization. World Trade Organization. It is the international organization formed by the initiative of developed countries in 1995. Nearly 160 countries of the world are currently members of the WTO. And this organization supports the free trade. Its main goal, what is its main objective? The main objective of WTO is to liberalize the international trade. The trade between the countries should be free without any barriers. All countries in the world should liberalize their policies. This is the main objective. The main objective of the WTO is a free trade, free and fair trade. The WTO supports free and fair trade. But since it was being started by the developed countries, though WTO is supposed to allow a free trade to all, in practice, it is seen that the developed countries have unfairly retained trade barriers. Unfairly, they are practicing trade barriers, maybe directly or indirectly. On the other hand, the WTO rules have forced the developing countries to remove the trade barriers. Against these unfair trade practices by the developed countries, we need to fight. We need to negotiate with the WTO, World Trade Organization. We need to align with all the developing countries which are being affected by the unfair trade practices by the developed countries for their benefits. So apart from this, WTO supports, it encourages globalization, that is free trade. Okay, until now, so we have discussed we have discussed in this chapter about the wide choice of goods and services to the consumers. We have discussed about an MNC. What is an MNC? How it will interlink production. What are the advantages of spreading production by an MNC? We have also discussed about the investment. What is it? Foreign investment. We have also discussed about different ways of interlinking production across the countries. What is globalization? And what are the different factors that have enabled globalization? That is the role of transportation technology, role of information and communication technology, role of liberalization of foreign trade and investment, and the role of WTO in globalization. So these are the topics that we have discussed in this chapter. So I think you might have understood it well, and do a reading of your textbook. In textbook, number of illustrations was given in your textbook. So you read once, not only once. If you do not understand the textbook, you read twice. and ask doubts to your teachers. Clarify your doubts. Then you will get a good knowledge of what is globalization, an understanding of what is globalization. Okay, students, thank you. Take care. Your health.